Well, welcome back to Tarot for Our Times. This is Sarah, your medium on the go, and we're going to be talking about MAGANESS and why we need to be concerned about it in the light of all the natural disasters that we're having. And I believe due to climate change, we're getting things like tornadoes in areas that we never would have thought of years ago. I remember when I came back to Pittsburgh for a visit when I was living in Seattle in 1998, I was told there was a tornado that went through Mount Washington where my father used to live, and I never would have thought of that. So I believe that is climate change, and we're getting distracted with insanity. But before I go into that, I want to acknowledge some good wishes for Joe Biden in his fight against prostate cancer. And I was listening to politics. I heard it on Politics with Tabitha yesterday. And before she went into the part that it was hormone based, which is easier to fight, my first thought was Jimmy Carter. He's going to beat it like Jimmy Carter, because Jimmy Carter, he beat all kinds of cancers that were just practically death sentences to anybody else and lived to be 100 years old. So that popped into my mind, thinking Biden may be not a spring chicken, but he's probably otherwise in good health, riding the bikes and all of that. So everybody send out whatever healing, Reiki, spiritual healing, or prayers or whatever you have to him. So I had to say that. And the card for this evening is the Six of Swords in reverse. And if you look at the thumbnail, I put all of the figures in MAGA hats. Now the Six of Swords upright is going from rough to smoother waters, or a better day ahead. And in reverse, this can often be storms and floods, and going in the opposite direction, a very stormy water. So it occurred to me that this card is not only about the natural storms and the tornadoes and hurricane. Wow, hurricane season will be in just a little bit more than we're just a little more than a week away from that. I remember when that used to be July and August. But at any rate, so I want to take a look at the distractions, the Bruce Springsteens, the Taylor Swift, which is delivered in a very disoriented rant. While there are these awful storms in Kentucky, and that he really hasn't mentioned this. And then, of course, the muskrat and his little boys, they chopped up a lot of FEMA, and I have a feeling FEMA's going to be needed more. So that's been pretty cut up. Whether I think they've had some FEMA help coming into Kentucky, but I would bet that it is not nearly enough. And if we have, and I do feel strongly, and I think a lot of my colleagues agree with me, that we are really in for some nasty hurricanes, floods, all kinds of stuff. And I am in agreement with, I think there's going to be, I'm feeling a big earthquake. I used to live in the Pacific Northwest. Now, whether it's going to be the big one, which is like apocalyptic, I'm not too sure about that. But I think that fault is going to be rumbling up. But I get a feeling that it's going to be bigger than any they've had in, I know when I was living there in the 90s, I went through a couple of pretty interesting ones, but I think they're going to be bigger than that, but not the one that's going to present this, at least maybe I'm wishful thinking, but not the one that could produce that tsunami with that fault, which the name of which escapes me right now. But I mean, that is going. You're talking about needing FEMA, but even if it doesn't get to that level, they're going to need. There's going to be a lot of destruction anyway. So we will. So what I want to read about it is, will the lack of help, the shortness of help, because I don't think Kentucky is done yet. That mid-southern line of states, I don't think they're done with that. So, and I think that on top of that, the hurricanes will be starting. So we want to see if it's going to turn that red area blue. I don't have any idea of that. I think it may turn some of them, but I just want to see. And then I'm going to maybe do a shorter one about how we are to cope with it, because I'm north of that, but I also know that we do get our tornado. We've had some pretty scary tornado warnings in the past few years, right in the city of Pittsburgh. So I think it can happen anywhere. But at any rate, let's take a look and see if this will be changing minds. I suspect the answer's not going to be real simple. So where we are at with that now. Okay. Four of Wands in reverse. Right now, it doesn't look as though there's going to be an agreement or coming together with the red and the blue. But you might as well almost say the blue and the gray. And I did see a news report from a local Kentucky station to see, just to see the latest on that. And interviewing some people, there were some people that lost a lot who were saying, well, we're neighborly and we help each other out. And I thought, let me hear what they're going to be saying a week from now when they're still looking for shelter and that sort of thing. So that's kind of like the initial reaction right now. We don't need no stinking FEMA. Well, tell me in a week or so. So the energy around that is, whoops, I keep getting those artists. Okay. Energy around that is that, as I say, with the four rods in reverse, that we've got the Ace of Swords, that with reality, what this is saying, reality may be hitting, and they may just in fact be saying this for the cameras, but I highly suspect that they really do know the truth and have to be realistic. So that's kind of interesting, the refusing to, and it's funny because I think this is kind of like bluish and reddish, but it's in reverse. So they're going to be maybe a bit stubborn. It depends on how badly they've been hit, but the truth is really facing them. So let's see what the underlying things are here. Judgment in reverse. So they're not all on the same page with this, because when it's upright, it's the community, kind of like rising out of the dead. It's kind of like not there yet. And with judgment in reverse, I think they're afraid of being judged. And it goes back to that old, American whatever bullshit thing, like we can stand on our own 2 feet and we've got the neighbors and this and that, so don't judge us. Okay, we got that. And then Queen of Pentacles, which is the Homeland Security, which she's very pensive there. I would say there may, as part of this Ace of Swords, they may be thinking about deep down inside that if we're not safe when we don't get the help from the government, how are we going to do with all these evil immigrants running around, you know, waiting to overturn our government and all this stuff? Are we really secure? Are we? So they're thinking about that. Or maybe they need to spend, this could be their denial. Maybe they need to spend their time rounding up the brown people. Wow, that stuff is really strong. Okay. So you've got the Five of Wands in reverse, which is saying for the time being, since they're digging out of the rubble, that people are coming together, but there's a very uneasiness. I think what this is telling me that they're trying to keep from getting into conflicts with each other, at least away from the cameras for now. So this is kind of complicated. So in opposition of that, we have the Page of Pentacles. And this is about facing the funds and the money that will be needed to clean this up because they don't have any. You know, thanks to their very misguided votes, it's about the kindest way I can put it, not voting in their best interests, they're going to be having to figure out how are we going to get the money to fix the damage. Right now, they're still in shock over this. So, and that's what I was picking up from that Kentucky station. So then we will go to the conscious thoughts. Okay, so right now they're trying to, get their material stuff together, and there may be an assessment of on the local level of the damages. And right now it's just kind of like trying to stay afloat pretty much, but those waters are pretty choppy. So that's on the conscious level. So that's what they're doing now. Deep down inside, we have the sorrow and the loss, the loss, and the ending and the grief over the ending. It's ended many lives, the many lives that they knew. And so right now they're not seeing any opposite, any optimistic side to this. So right now they really are into the loss of this. And it is at such a very, very deep level. This also tells me they've been through this before, because that's a very vulnerable area. I can't remember the last time that they had this, but I know it's happened before in the past. So this is about, deep down inside, well, this has happened to us before, and here we go again. So there might be a lot of the morale is going to be very low for them to get started. The impression I got from some of these people interviewed was that they were really trying to some of the they were very sad, but they were so we're going to put on a good front for the cameras. It was all about and show we're tough, we can take it, and maybe putting a little bit more of an optimistic or a lot of denial. That's about the best way I could say. A lot of denial. So, and not complaining about Trump not sending FEMA, or I guess they've gotten dribs and drabs of FEMA pretty much. So in the past we have, oh boy, it is about the money. Okay. With a slightly different meaning here. In the past, we have a group of people that live paycheck to paycheck, and they're balancing out, hoping to have a little bit left over. after paying all the bills. And then that ship, of course, listing in the background is it's like literally what we need to do to keep afloat. So here we have these people that are just barely eking by. It is one of the poorest states in the nation. And it's all about the balancing of the money. But look at those there's storms. And then the storm comes in. That kind of looks like a tornado cloud to me. So just as they're getting their bills paid and saying, oh, well, did a little overtime, have a few bucks, boom, boom, it's gone. So this is in the past. And it mystifies me so far that they are, in one hand, that they are not turning on head honcho, but in the other, I'm seeing a whole lot of denial here. So I might be able to get a glimmering of an understanding. So I'm going to do things a little bit differently. So leading up to this basic stuff, we have the before tarot. We have the, this is interesting. We have the Queen of Cups reaching for that cup of happiness that seems to elude them. Their lives, she's just got her hands on it, but it's a happiness that seems to elude it. And that cup never gets full. So this is what they had coming into it. And so now that the storms have cleared, who knows, it could be another deluge. Wow, this keeps coming up. The Two of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles in reverse. And this goes to that woman being interviewed, looking at all this help that could be coming in, but kind of saying, "Oh, we don't need it. We got the neighbors and yada yada yada." And they're I guess it's rejecting the help and sending them off or whatever. So this is kind of in the aftermath of the storm. So in the present, we have, they know what they need to do. And I'm going to say this probably goes to the state level. They know what they need to do. They need to ask the federal government for some money, but they're still blinded by whatever. And I think they've got some other decisions to make about how do we vote. Now, I know in my state of Pennsylvania, we have a primary tomorrow. I don't know when they do, but we are in primary season. So they may have made up their mind to vote for more red people, but they've really got to take off the blindfold. It's just how many disasters do they need to have this? So let's see. In the immediate future, the very near future, is the Ten of Wands. He hasn't dropped him yet, but in reverse is saying the burden has gotten just too heavy for them to carry. It's not only the financial one, but it's their stupid prejudices and all this bullshit they've been fed about brown people, about trans people, about gay people. I mean, all of probably about Jews and God knows what else. They're carrying around. They can't carry it much longer. This guy's about ready to, haven't dropped it yet, but he's about to drop it. It's like, sorry, folks, this is just a luxury you can no longer afford. So in the more distant future, we're going to pull it after tarot. And now we've got the King of Pentacles. And this is about going to the man at the top. But this bull in here, this Taurus thing, this is very being very, this is being very, there's something very, very stubborn about this. Maybe it's about the one atop, the one, the White House resident that is being stubborn about giving forth the aid. So I would say that there is some FEMA, but they're not I know they're not getting the help that they should be. So I'm going to go just a little further into the future. We have the Ace of Swords. They may try to stick it in the ground and bury it, but they can't anymore. And I would say that bird represents, they got to cut that bird free and carry the message that that's what they need. So in the hopes and the hope, I feel like I got to do these separate now. I don't know why, but okay. In the hope, we have the Six of Pentacles. Oh my God, you can't make this stuff up. Is the hands out for the help that they need. What's he doing there? Oh, here we go. We've got the guy at the top with the scales weighing it out like, what's in it for me? And what are they, how can I have them sell their souls to me? So they have the hands out. I don't think there's being filled. Oh, yeah. Some are filled, some aren't. But the hands are out in the hopes of getting the money. The fear is got the Seven of Wands of what this tells me is the fear like, oh, our taxes are going up. It's like acting like you've been in a car accident, and even if it wasn't your fault, your insurance goes up. That is the fear, that with this help, then there's going to be more taxes. And of course, that's what they associate with the Democrats. So that could be their excuse to not go blue. I'm seeing some peeled off, but probably not enough to be significant. So I can only call them as I see them. So in the conclusion card, we have the King of Pentacles in reverse. So this is the corrupt king. This is the king that just made all these deals with terrorist countries in the Middle East. He is in reverse. He is holding the cards. Which begs the question. It begs the question. This is the reality that kind of goes after this. I will give it to you if there's something in it for me in that godforsaken state. There may not be anything. So I think I need to toss a clarifier or two about, okay, we know that, but how is that going to affect them? So I think I'll do a couple of after tarots to see if, because that seems like, so how's that going to affect them down the line? Okay. We have the Hanged Man in reverse. They may take whatever crumbs are thrown at them, but it isn't really going to change a point of view that much, or perhaps make some of them say, oh, well, he came through, but maybe just for a selected few. So, and this, I'm also getting the message, like, from him and the Six of Pentacles, like, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Don't bite that hand. And then we have, then we have the Eight of Wands in reverse with the archer there. And he's in reverse. So upright, he's going to hit the bullseye. And there's going to be a lot going on, a lot of suffering, but a lot of this stuff is not going to hit the bullseye and helping enough people, but somehow that denial is so strong that the message of them not getting that help, for now, it won't hit the bullseye. Um, what I'm pretty much gathering about this is that they're going to need to be, going to need to be going through more hell, actually. I think there's some weakening of it, that there will be some minds change, but not a whole lot. I'm afraid to say, just not a whole lot of them are really going to have their minds changed about this. So then I'm going to do maybe a shorter reading on, well, how do we hope with this? Because we're not all that far from another disaster. And, this goes back to I think it was the very end of last month. Yes, it was the last day of April when we had the storms that came through and it knocked out the power lines. And it kind of, I think what it did was it made a lot of us aware that and they did a really great job. I mean, that was a monumental job of getting the power on, and I think that the mayor did a great job in getting Duquesne Light to get in, other power companies to come in. So I know he was right. That's why I'm voting for him tomorrow. Had to get that in the primary. And so, but still, you really realize when something like this, some people were out for like a week because they were still, they got hit very, very badly with that. So you see the importance of government on all levels coming to help. And fortunately, I don't think it got that bad where we needed to ask for the federal help. But when this major bridge, the Fern Hollow Bridge, went out in December, it was just like right after Biden took office, this bridge went out, and both he and the mayor, who I think that was pretty early in his term. They got together, and when they got that, I think it was like 22, because the mayor had just taken office and Biden was in for a year. They got that thing. That was major. The thing collapsed. They got that thing fixed, done in less than 2 years. That's a monumental bridge. It spans this big, like this canyon. So it's very important. It was a very important example of local and federal government. We don't have that now. We don't have that, unfortunately. So, but I don't think they've realized it. I honestly think that there probably may be another disaster before they go blue enough to make a difference. I'd love to be wrong about this, but maybe the next tornado. But if things change, the energy could change. But right now, that's how it stands, and it kind of, the cards pretty much tell the tale of what I could pick up reading between the interviews, the people that were affected by that. So, how do we cope with this? Okay, we all know about growing your own food, stocking up, this and that, all of that. I'd like to pretty much go beyond that. Maybe on the more psychological and spiritual level. So I'll do a reading that maybe not quite as long as this last one. And the sad thing about it is that most of us did not vote for this. I mean, just like we can't control these disasters, we can't control what people are going to do about them. So And there is the coping with them too, which is very difficult. So let's see what we've got here. Okay. So what we've got here now is the High Priestess in reverse. I think there's going to be a lot of very nasty secrets coming out about this administration. I want to say very shadowy in people enriching themselves over this disaster. And this will be, we're going to be faced with the deep darks of, I'm putting it in the light of people buying pardons the last time he left office, and people, he wants to introduce these $5 million cards where you get to buy a green card, basically. So there's going to be a lot coming out, and while it's a good thing, with a High Priestess, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot to take in. So I'm going to use one of these before tarots for the energy around this, which is the King of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, this is interesting. This is the King of Pentacles in reverse. So since it's the beginning, it's the before tarot, this is Trump getting started. He's early in the term. He's getting started, and he's going to enrich himself. And the garden isn't as pretty as it is in the regular tarot. So he's growing like a lot of brown stuff here. It looks kind of nasty too. So this is the corruption. So this is, I think the thing is, we have to have our eyes open, and we have got to know about this. We just cannot be ignorant to this. So coming beneath it is the Two of Wands. There's also the whole thing of coping with the rest of the world. I would say that one thing is if you have friends in other countries, and Facebook is good for that because we do keep in touch, is that, to let them know that we are not on board with this, and to keep in touch and let's do our own little diplomacies. That sort of thing, and to keep our eyes open to the rest of the world, and to say, yes, we believe in a free Ukraine no matter what this jerk says. So it's being in tune with the rest of the world, and to keep the faith that it seemed we've been going through this. It's like he's gotten away with so much, but the justice in reverse is saying karma will come, and the legal system will come in due time. Maybe what the universe is saying, we got to make those people in Kentucky really aware of this. But karma always comes, but it seems like it never is going to. But it's this, I look at this card, justice in reverse, is keep the faith. Really keep the faith. And then Three of Cups in reverse is, I would say that with cups, people in cups in reverse, this is a warning to really, it's nice to have a glass of wine or beer, but be very, very careful of substance abuse. I think it got to be a problem. I think it got to be a problem during the pandemic. From what I read and understood, that a lot of people really hit the sauce and the drugs pretty heavily, making for a lot of problems. So this is a warning that that's not going to solve anything. Okay, so opposing this is Eight of Pentacles. So although we've been told to put things away and do the save this and save that and have cash, it's not always easy, especially since um, we're paying more at the supermarket and everything else. It's not easy. I think the thing is to do what you can and just accept it. Don't get into a panic. They're wonderful suggestions, but not all of us make six figures a year either. So you've got to be realistic and not be so hard on yourself about this when these disasters hit. So let's see. In the past, we have, thank goodness, the tower, it's in reverse. It's not right up. In the past, we've been hit with some mini disasters. Not to say that we're not going to make light of the floods and the hurricanes and all this stuff that's been happening. But as far as, I think as far as a lot of the apocalyptic stuff that everybody thought that was, including yours truly, that thought was going to happen, that the possibility is there, but we've had a series of mini disasters. This is also saying that this regime has had this many disasters and setbacks. It hasn't had like the big be-all, end-all, which is saying it's going to take a lot of mini disasters, not only to bring this whole thing down, but also to wake people up. But the tower in reverse also tells us to not to make that. Look at what they're doing. We can learn from them. Do not keep making the same mistakes over and over and going from one near disaster to another, because eventually that tower will turn upright, and that's when the real disaster comes. So it's a doesn't have to be, but you've got to learn the lesson. You've just got to learn the lesson. Okay, so in the now we have the Three of Cups upright, which is saying, but enjoy the good times, but try not to do it in the chaos like these people are. They're just going crazy. Enjoy yourself. Find those moments to enjoy yourself, but with a little bit of caution too. So let's see what's coming up in the near future, which is the Chariot. Just to know that we're moving forward. We are moving forward. We have, as I say, we have an election tomorrow in PA. So it's go out and vote. Go out and vote. Go out and vote for the anti-MAGA candidates, and even the small. This isn't what I call the off year election, but these things like judges and mayors, they're very, very important. So we've got to move forward with that. And when you do, maybe it's running, maybe it is getting, maybe it's just a little fraction of an inch of the end of MAGA. And other elections have been proven in the reddest of places where they would not ordinarily vote for the blue candidate. They've been voting. So there is hope. I even see in Kentucky a glimmer of hope, but they're not there yet. Okay, so going further into the future with the After Tarot, we have the Page of Pentacles in reverse. We're going to have to cope with the titty babies. I mean, and these kind of mentally challenged people. And it's also watching our money. And to be generous, but to not give it away foolishly. So there's always, when I see pages in reverse, there's always some level of immaturity. It's different for each element, but with this one, it's like, just take a little bit of care with the finances. So further along in the future is Oh yeah, that's upright. Upright. They've just left for the honeymoon. Um, in reverse, it's they've left because it's the when you look at it in marriage, it's the divorce card. We've divorced ourselves to those people, and they're gone. So this again goes down to the voting on the lowest level, and maybe letting go of some. People say don't lose your friends over politics, but in this one, you may find out some of them. You find out who they really are. Some of them they had a lapse in judgment, so it's not an easy call to make. So this is going to be about letting go of people that no longer serve you right, or you just don't want to. They still think MAGA is great. You just don't want to hear it anymore. So okay, so I'll do a little hopes and fears. So in the hope we have the Knight of Pentacles. And he is the loyal knight, but he's moving slowly. He's not on those galloping horses like the rods and the. He is the Pentacles, and he's the loyal knight. And what this is saying is that moving slower and sure is the way to go. That making rash decisions may not be where it's at. But to know, find those who deserve your loyalty, and move away for those that don't, and also be careful of your money. He's using it as interesting because he's using it as a shield. Very interesting in this deck. So that's the hope. The hope. The fear is Page of Wands. Immature people that are very, very cruel and mean, making rash decisions. So we fear those. I think we need to acknowledge the fear of those types of people, but at the same time, and accept that, but at the same time, know that they're the ones to avoid, keep them out of our lives. Don't let them walk all over you, but don't provoke them. Don't provoke them either. So, in conclusion of this, of how we cope, and they do come out, all of this stuff comes out when we hit a disaster, whether it's earthquakes or floods or tornadoes. We have to deal with all of this at a much larger level. But this is also our daily lives, which is one disaster after another with this regime. Okay, so our lessons learned is interesting, the Two of Wands in reverse. Well, whether it's upright or reverse, there really is the hope of the light coming through. So, I think what this is saying, it's interesting because when this came upright, it was like looking to your friends in other countries, whether you just know them from Facebook or you know them personally or both. What this is saying is that be careful when traveling. I would not recommend why add stress with air travel unless you absolutely have to, or maybe you want to take the trip a couple days early and drive, or whatever. Right now is not a time to be taking planes or going across borders. If you're going to be going across borders, make sure you're not coming back until this nightmare is over. So this is this is about being cautious, but you have to make some life adjustments. But this is about don't you put yourself through unnecessary stress. If you need to go on a vacation, like if I'm on the East Coast, I'm not going to fly to the West Coast. If I want to go to the New York metro area, I drive. I don't need to take a plane and be nervous about lack of air controllers. This is definitely going to hurt the travel industry, but sometimes you need to do that to whip them back in shape again, or to make someone back off of stupid policies. So at any rate, this is like pretty much stay put or stay in a smaller area and pretty much stay in your own. I mean, you do need to reach out and helping people, and I think that two of wands that came up early upright is yeah, there we go. That's what this is. That's what this is all about. Is it, reaching out globally? And a lot of times I've seen rods as the internet, using this communication for now. Um, reaching out in a certain way, but to be kind of cautious. And this also goes to, I think there's going to be a lot of protests this summer. And if you go, be careful. If you get a bad feeling about it, you don't go. I think a lot of it's time to get clever with this stuff too. I think a lot of this is going to be economic. There's no one that's going to arrest you for not going to Walmart or Target. I mean, but this is already having an impact. So, taking some kind of action with whatever level you can cope with physically or emotionally, that's the way to go. And I'd love to say my cupboards are stocked up a little more than usual, but not as much as Armageddon style. But you do what you can. You do what you can. So that's pretty much it. I would say maybe just having a few cans of something and some water for if one of these things hit, and keeping and also keeping in touch with your neighbors as well. And if you need to start up a GoFundMe, start a GoFundMe, and your friends need to, you kick in a few bucks. I mean, I think I think that's what it is. I also believe that things have gotten so crazy. So what accelerates going up is going to go down even faster. So if you hold that thought in mind too, that does help you cope in knowing this too shall pass. So with that, I'm going to sign off now. So bye.